right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, aka Marv, and tonight we have a great show planned for you. If you've never been here before, we're going to cover current events in the last 24 hours. In fact, we're going to go over some of those current events right now. So today we will be talking about, of course, Lukashenko and Putin. What just happened there is a huge deal. Again, this is getting pretty insane. We're going to be talking about the Houthis shot down a U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone. If we needed another escalation, there's one. And then we have the U.S. Philippines hold air patrol, drawing China rebuke. We, of course, have the China Coast Guard boards Taiwan tourist boat in another escalation between Taiwan and China. We have Finland says thousands of migrants are seeking to enter via Russia. We'll talk about that. That actually has some pretty serious consequences. The congressman that is essentially saying this migrant crisis could turn into a very positive thing. In fact, the Courage to Serve Act is basically saying, hey, if they come over and they serve, they will get a green card. We'll talk about that as well. Surging rocket motor demand drives the Pentagon to do this. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Russia issues an arrest warrant for Alexei Navalny's brother. We'll tell you why. Very sus on that one. And then, of course, an LA woman was detained over $51 supporting UKR. We'll talk about that as well. And then the first Neuralink brain chip. We're going to have a conversation about this one. This is nuts. The guy can control things with his brain. If you thought this was the Twilight Zone, you are wrong. It is now fact. And then Putin gives new card to Kim. We'll talk about that. Very, very close relationship there. Lost 22-page transcript discovers that JB, our prez, was pardoned. His great-great-grandfather was pardoned by Abraham Lincoln. Yeah, if the power didn't stay in a small enough group of people already, that's proof of something. And then, of course, two of the world's two biggest economies are now in recession. And, of course, Elon Musk was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for free speech. I could obviously see a lot of people agreeing with that, but we'll have a debate. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough. All right, what is going on? I hope everybody is pumped up tonight because we do have a crazy packed show for you. And again, there is a bunch of really great people in the chat. If you are over on X or any of the other platforms, make sure to go over and say hi at least. There's a lot of really great mods over there. And of course, over on DLive, we've already got the family over there. Thank you, Vicky K, for the Ninja Guinea. Says, missed y'all. Well, we missed you too. And thank you, everybody that has made it night after night to every single show. If you've never been here before, we are independent. We do this every single weekday, and of course, we make sure to have a full bibliography of every single article, tweet, video, picture, document. We collect and make sure that everything is available for you at your fingertips at marfooglenews.com. This takes a lot, so if you can, it would be heavily appreciated if you share us out. Share us with somebody you've never seen before. Obviously, there is a battle between legacy media and independents like ourselves. So I appreciate that, and thank you very much. Also, go check out the mods over at marfooglenews.com/friends. We do appreciate the people that help us out. That's why we have always made it accessible so you guys can go subscribe to all of our lovely friends. Down below, you actually have all of the creators that we have either worked with or know are great people on and off camera. So make sure to go check them out as well. And then, of course, the mods all have great, great talent. They are either authors, artists, writers, video editors, extraordinaires. So make sure to go check out that site. And then let's bring in my co-host internet brother, Dex James. What is going on and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
Every day we also put the map together. So if you're not geographically strong, we usually try to give you a kind of a geographic lesson here with where all of this stuff is going down. Dex, do you want to cover one of the first pieces here while I load some stuff up here?
Yeah, certainly. So with Lukashenko, he has come out and he is basically ordering his country to prepare for World War III. That's what they're saying. So it has come again to the brink of the abyss, he is quoted as saying. So a big warning has gone out. He is talking it up. It's on the eve or around the time that the anniversary of when he was put into power or re-put into power. I think he's been there for a long time. And some claimed that he was the self-proclaimed winner of the last round when he was promoted in as the president. But nonetheless, a couple of things that are really important here that he is talking about. One most specifically is the claim he's making about having that there's over 32,000 troops from NATO pushing up against his immediate vicinity between him and Russia there. So he is saying that there is a buildup of NATO forces on his border. He's also making some claims about having access to new weapons and acknowledging that, this is something that he's going to be able to use if he should need to be able to do that. And a couple other quotes. He said, I would like to characterize the current phase of this civilizational confrontation between the East and the West as follows. The masks have been completely dropped. We need to acknowledge how serious the situation is. As he continued his speech there in Minsk, talking about what was happening. So he also said that that his army has received new arsenal of weapons, including 2 missile divisions of the S-400 system and 2 divisions of Iskander missile systems. So this goes hand in hand with the nukes that have been put in there, the nuclear. I believe those are tacticals, but also the nuclear capable planes that had been stationed there. That were put in as well. There's been a lot of movement into Belarus, and obviously that was the staging ground for the early plans for the invasion of UKR.
And with Lukashenko, there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of weeks. Just a reminder of the kind of the other stories we covered via Lukashenko. There's more rumors about Lukashenko and Russia taking Moldova. There was, of course, the map that talked or that showed Lukashenko in front of a current, at that time, it was a current map with an arrow pointing from Russia into Moldova. Actually, it might have been from Belarus into Moldova. So that map, again, was brought up over the last week because now there's more intelligence that says that they may be trying to do a surprise attack. Not saying that we absolutely believe this. If you're new here, I would say question everything that is coming out right now because we are in a war. People don't want to call it a world war yet, and it hasn't gone hot as far as, you don't have line after line of men going after each other because this war is not going to look like that. It isn't looking like that. Russia and Ukraine are not the only war. Hamas and, of course, Israel are not the only war. China and Taiwan are not the only Venezuela and Guyana, and of course, everyone else that's going off right now, including North and South Korea. Those are not the only things that are happening right now. It's a worldwide event, and there are hacking events going on left and right. Everybody is hacking everybody. There are cyber events. There's drone events. There is an active Navy battle going on right now in the Red Sea, and we have just deployed 5 carrier strike groups to the South China Sea in a show of force. Really, they don't call it World War until close to the end. At least that's how it was for the previous ones. World War II, it was like 1945 before you see some of the first headlines saying World War II, when we all know that it started way, way before that. As far as the whole world, they're all on edge, and people are very confused on what to believe. That's why you shouldn't. You should definitely go with your own gut. I would say prepare for the worst case scenario and hope for the best. And that's what we can only, that's the only thing we can really do. There's looking at the patterns, looking at what is happening right now, and you can most likely, it's kind of like it's kind of like anything else. If you are into something enough, you start getting it down. The patterns that are happening, especially if you believe that a lot of stuff is orchestrated, you start seeing these really clear patterns and obvious statements being made by governments that show what exactly is about to happen. But they definitely shape the way that you view it. By the way, Reverend Brian York, I want to say thank you from yesterday. You and I used to be in the library, and Genius by Birth all popped in, and I believe I missed all of you. So thank you. I used to be in the library, says, appreciate the work you guys do and the community you guys have, and all of the mods have made here. Thanks, Marf and the Foogle fam. And then Genius by Birth, please pray for the judge not to be corrupted in the Assange case. The decision for his appeal will be made this week. If he loses, we know his fate. Genius by Birth, thank you also for not only last night, but always being here for the show every night. Thank you. And then Reverend Brian York, much love to all here. Thanks, Adam, Dex, and Mods. Anyone here can have all of our 4-pats freeze-dried emergency food. We can't eat all the included chemicals. We've got to harvest right. We will do our own. Reverend Brian York, I'm sure that I don't know if you've talked to people over already, but get a hold of some folks in the chat. Thank you. And thank you, Reverend, for your support. So going from, of course, the Belarus, they called dictator there, over to Yemen. The Houthis shoot down an U.S. MQ-9 Reaper drone. Anyone can pretty much see why that would be a big deal. It is a Reaper drone. It is a U.S. drone. It's not, I don't know if this, obviously we've had other events regarding our Reaper drones and a lot of the stuff that's been going on. But is this the first one shot down by the Houthis, or have we had this already?
It's the second one, I believe.
Yeah, I felt like this is like deja vu here. First one, wasn't there some sort of controversy around the first one, whether it was on purpose or something? Maybe I'm thinking of Russia and one of our Reaper drones.
It was early in the conflict. It was back in November, so it's been a while.
So there are millions and millions of dollars, so it's pretty big hit. Luckily, they're unmanned. But you also look at something like this and you go, this totally could be faked if they wanted to, just to create an escalation. And of course, some would go, well, why would anyone do that? I don't know. Why do people do any of the stuff that they do now? So it's not a good thing to see. Again, you can read the rest of the article. They say that they have an American MQ-9 Reaper flying near Yemen has been shot down by Houthi militants. A U.S. official confirmed to ABC News on Tuesday. So we'll see what happens, and we'll update you guys. If you're not subscribed, make sure to hit the subscribe button right now and hit the all notifications bell. That's one of the most important part about subscribing. You won't get any notifications if you don't. At least that's what we believe. And Dex, do you want to talk about the U.S. and Philippines hold air patrol, drawing a huge response from China?
Certainly. So, as we continue to see the conflict escalate, I shouldn't say conflict because it's not kinetic yet there, but the verbal conflict and the argument over who owns what lands, what we're now seeing is we've gone from Philippines putting a warship out into the area to patrol the waters. And now we've got the U.S. and the Philippines conducting a joint air patrol over those areas facing the disputed South China Sea. So this is another display of a stronger defense alliance. And of course, it is, sticking it right to the face of China, who is absolutely not going to appreciate this and is going to kick back on it. So I guess what we have to see is how far do these creeping escalations go? They've gone from some of the smaller ships shooting water cannons or pointing lasers at one another to some of the ships creating a blockade, but then another ship would actually bump into it to get through. So they would say they had some collisions to now, and those were not necessarily warships at the time. Now they've taken a warship out and put it around one of the islands, as we talked about last night. And now we're running air patrol over the area. So you can see that as this is creeping up, we're creeping closer and closer and closer to how far can we go until somebody actually pushes back, and not just with words, but kinetically. And that's what we're going to eventually see. It may not be the US that does it. It may actually be the Philippines. It could even be Vietnam for that matter. But it's going to continue to happen until there is a much more significant than some of the minor little skirmishes we've seen. But these little minor escalations, or they're not even minor, these are major steps towards that eventual happening, and it's going to happen. And it's part of the program in my mind. It's part of what is meant to happen, because they're holding this area and they're trying to claim it, and they being China, and at the same time everyone else around them is saying no, and those people are aligned with the US or aligned with the West, so you have a natural conflict. Same thing happening with North Korea and South Korea. So you're going to have, again, I've said this and I may be sounding like a broken record, but you're going to have this sort of split where you have the US having to deal with North Korea in the north and having to manage what's happening down south with the Philippines in the South China Sea, leaving it wide open in Taiwan for China to steamroll in. Question is, can China handle all three at once? And they probably can. They've got a lot of people, and they don't have to go a great distance for any of this.
Yeah, a little over 100 miles away from Taiwan. When you go back to the map, someone asked if the Philippines was near Taiwan. Yeah, the Philippines is right below Taiwan. So when you look at the map, you'll see this whole area right here. This is the same area we covered yesterday. They are claiming that China is dumping cyanide, right? Cyanide into the water to take the fish out. It's actually a way to actual fish. They say that it is a strategy, but it also kills the ocean around it. We don't know what to take for fact on that, why it's being claimed or why it's being done. It's pretty savage if you think about it. But basically the thought was, if we can't have it, then nobody can have it. Or, oh, you want this area because it's rich with fish? Well, we'll take all the fish out. So you have no reason to be here. Kind of crazy if that is true. But it just kind of shows what they say the bullying is in that neighborhood. As far as what Dex said, as far as the multiple fronts that goes on, if we are supporting folks over here, we've got 5 carrier strike groups over there. What happens if something happens at home? And we've talked about this over the last few months really heavily, because look at what is going on down in the South. What I think is crazy too is right now, you saw for a few weeks there, it was nothing but the border. Now it's kind of calmed down and everybody's like forgot about it. Obviously there's some coverage still and people are still talking about it. But have you ever noticed how mainstream and legacy media, it's like they will cover one thing and it will just be nonstop. And then there's just like a certain day where it just kind of stops covering, or they'll move on to the next thing. But yet a lot of folks that are near the south border, they're like, we're not forgetting. Over 6 million, and they say it could be 13 million by the end of this presidency that will be coming in from the southern border. Everybody is noticing. They have now documented that huge groups of military-age men from all of our adversarial countries are coming in, including a gigantic, never-seen-before boost in Chinese Americans, and they're even getting, what do you call it, Dex? The defensive, what was it called? Defensive asylum, a defensive asylum status.
They're gaining asylum status. They're one of the largest numbers that are actually being granted that asylum status when they come across.
I'm sure they're saying, oh, it's so horrible there, we need to get away. And they're like, yeah, we agree, China's bad, so come on in. How many of those are legit, military age men that just want a better life and want to send money back to their families still suffering? Or how many of them are part of some sort of military? That's the big question that's on everybody's mind. Dex, go ahead.
And one final thought on this Philippines situation at the moment. China did respond, at least publicly, on their Weibo, the Southern Theater Command, saying that this was, a publicity stunt from Philippines, but also saying that they were going to move troops in, and their troops will maintain a high degree of vigilance and resolutely defend their national sovereignty. So whether or not they will actually, anything will change, and this is just a publicity stunt, as they say it, or if this is the next step for them to say, okay, well, we're going to bring more people in. If you're going to start doing patrols, then we're going to bring more people in. We'll have to see. This is coming from the Southern Theater Command of the Chinese military.
We'll keep you guys updated. By the way, great folks in the chat. Let's do a quick roll call. Tristan Green, thank you guys. In fact, we'll do that right after here. Let's see here. Let's go over. If you haven't already, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. Real quick, as far as all of the crazy stuff that we've been talking about, make sure to go check out the video we just did over on news. We compiled some of the executive orders they did regarding space weather. I already know that there's a chunk of our audience that is like, oh, the space weather's all this. As far as if everybody is focused on war right now, if we are hit with the solar weather that they're expecting for this, and a solar maximum, the solar maximum this time is going to be as bad, I'd highly recommend getting yourself protected. We've talked about it for 5 years now. Now everything is catching up. We've talked about this way before. So again, this is not something that we pulled up because of the solar events and the solar talk and all the executive orders and all of the chatter about this from military members. We've talked about this for 5 years. It is because the 5 years ago, we were talking about, way off in 2024 and 2025, the solar maximum will hit. And it's one of the most predicted to be one of the most unpredictable and crazy solar cycles. Now, fast forward, we're here. We're actually at the time. The reason why we suggested this for solar events, that reason is now. That reason we're here. Everybody kind of didn't worry about it because it was down the road. It was 4 or 5 years down the road. Now it's here. So as far as solar events, that's one thing. EMP, if you're worried about the war part, this protects against both. It protects you against multiple EMP strikes and solar events as strong as a Carrington level event. This is easily wired into your vehicles. Pretty much anything that rolls or runs with a motor, you can protect. And of course, you can protect your home and everything plugged in within 250 linear feet from where it is wired in. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Not only that, if something like bad goes down, you're not going to be able to get this stuff after the fact. You want to get it before. Once your stuff is fried, it's fried. It's not going to be easy to find new parts for your car when all of the parts you need are fried across the country. If you want your car to run to get yourself home from work or to get yourself out to bring your family and bug out, then this is a really simple fix for that that's going to protect you and could possibly save your life. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. It's the same company that's outfitting DHS and DOD agencies like, and then the DEMSO team protecting the Texas grid. So go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Make sure to use that code MARF. You get $50 off and you help support our independent media. Laura Gittens, class of 1984. Hey, what's going on? FEMA Region 7 in the house. Annie Oakley, nice to see you. Bobby Sue, J-Girl, that's me. We've got Master Bruce. We have Seahart Think. What is happening? The end is near. Minda Lick. We have Uncle Iro from Washington State. Maryland representing. We've got Ohio in the house. Thank you, Canada, bro. NJM, yesterday I couldn't believe how many folks from Canada we had yesterday. It was crazy. It was like a Canadian website or something shared us. I know there's a lot of Canadians in the audience, but man, it was crazy yesterday. Marf from Buffalo, New York. Tracy Q, it's always nice to see you. Up North girl, Derek Cared from Southern Illinois. Joda, Cindy Griffin, Courtly James, Mark Matheny, Christine Potato Flesh. That is a name. See here, think. Schaefer girl from Cache Valley, Utah, Northern Michigan. 60 degrees in South Florida. I hate you. It's super cold and nasty here. 60 degrees would be like paradise here. Downhill Fast from PA, Naples, Florida, and Michael Ambrosia. Thank you, everybody that's over on X. I've noticed a few more people popping in there, so thank you. I appreciate you. Lori D, Mark Schaefer, or Ryder, and of course, Comet Moon, Queen BTP, and Bruce Fry from Charleston, South Carolina. Andrea McCaughey from Wenatchee, Washington. I couldn't miss you, you local Washingtonian. All right. Yeah, everybody. We got North Cali, we've got Palm Beach, we've got all sorts of folks in here. All right, chilly Florida. 60 degrees is chilly for you guys? man, that's a nice summer day in Seattle. So thank you guys. All right. China Coast Guard boards Taiwan tourist boat in an escalation of tensions. So, as far as there's constant events, I kind of look at this in a broader kind of step back sense that, all of these events happen one after another. Whether it's legacy media covering something to make sure that it's in our head or it's actually happening as much as they say it is. Either way, it's like every day there is an opportunity for things to go south. As far as this goes, they said the Chinese Coast Guard has boarded a Taiwanese tourist vessel as tensions continue to escalate in the waters between China's mainland and Taiwan's Kinmen Islands after a capsizing killed 2 people last week. The Taiwanese sightseeing ferry King Zhao was carrying 11 crew and 23 passengers on a tour around Kinmen's main island on Monday when it was intercepted by the Chinese Coast Guard vessels. 6 officers boarded the King Zhao and asked to inspect the documentation of the crew before disembarking about 30 minutes later. Taiwan's Coast Guard Authority, the CGA, said soon after a Taiwan Coast Guard patrol arrived to escort the King Zhao back to port. So China interrupted them. They boarded them. They said, show me your papers. And essentially Taiwan came with their own forces, says, hey, leave our buddy alone. Grabbed him by the shoulder and said, don't worry, those guys are just bullies. And then they walked into the sunset. But unfortunately, this is a big deal as far as maritime goes, like, just boarding random ships and asking to see their papers. If it happened, then that's a big deal. Dex, do you want to go over Finland? And if you have comments on China.
Yeah, if you can go back to the map where China is, I just realized this. I was looking at it. If you zoom in more to where that dot's placed and move to the left, the Kinmen Islands is like literally when they said a few kilometers off the water, you have to like head over to mainland China to see it. See Kinmen County to your left there.
It's like in the middle of a lake. I know it's
literally right there. So that's Taiwan. That one island is Taiwan territory, right up against the.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's close, huh?
Why doesn't more? Okay, that's kind of crazy. So why? Wait a second. So the main part is like 100 and something miles. They talk about how they could take smaller islands first, right? How in the world?
I think they can take that one with a rowboat.
Yeah, they could take that with a harshly thrown rock. It's a pretty big island. You've got, this is 3,000 meters, is about that big. I mean, that's a pretty big island, and it's right there. So I wonder, is this China then, this other little island right here, or is that also, which parts of these are China and which ones are Taiwan? There's a couple little islands there.
Directly to the left, or directly left from it, that round island Xiamen, that is mainland China. Or not mainland, but an island of China.
Yeah. I get what you mean.
Yeah. But at least on Google Maps, it says Kinmen is Taiwan and Xiamen is China. I don't know what that map, I think Earth may label it different.
Kind of weird. If you zoom in here, I don't know what the heck that is. Does anybody know what these lines are? Is that just like, yeah. Doesn't look like waves. It's something, some weird Google Earth thing. Either way,
they put underwater.
Well, at first I thought they were like container, like a reflection of a container ship or something, some weird glitch. But that's kind of funky. Or sunken containers or something. It was probably just an Earth thing, composite image thing. So if this is that close, why is there not more talk about this island being taken first? Obviously, this could, and then can the U.S. go in this little area right here? Think about that. For the U.S. to protect this area, they have to go into this part of this inlet. I mean, it's a big deal if the U.S. goes in over here. They've talked about the U.S. going in between this. If you look at this big body of water between the two, it's a big deal if they go there. Now imagine if they went in and around this U-shaped kind of cul-de-sac here. Huh. I've never known about that little island. I would have never looked at a map and said, "Oh, that's Taiwan." And then Dex, go over Finland. Says thousands of migrants are
Yeah.
seeking to enter via Russia.
So they have had, and we've covered these crossings that they've tried to close before, and they've tried to close them all down. And we talked quite a bit about it last year and in the early parts of this year. And it's continuing to be a problem. So what is happening is they're coming out. Finland is saying as of now that thousands of what they call third country migrants are waiting on the other side, just waiting to come across the border into its territory from Russia. They have accused Russia in the past of doing this as a means of antagonizing them, bringing people up from countries that they don't want, and then shoving them over to the border and saying, go into Finland. The quote says, we have information that thousands of people on the Russian side are waiting to get into Finland. The Interior Minister, Mari Rantanen, told at a news conference, and it is a, quote, threat to society. Wow, sounds familiar, doesn't it? I know a lot of us feel that way with what's coming across our own situation like this in the South mostly, but even in the North, we see it as well. I mean, everywhere that it's open, it's wide open, and it seems like it's not much happening in that area. In their regard, they've actually closed them. So they're just sitting there looking at them. They're waiting to come across, and they're not allowing them in. But it sounds like the group may be growing and the problem may be growing, and it's not necessarily going away. And of course, Russia's not doing anything to stop it. It sounds to me like Russia's encouraging it. So
now it says
that's the state of. Go ahead.
It says thousands of third countries. Is that because I heard it was not PC to say third world countries? Is that how they say it now? Third country?
I kind of choked up on that. I wasn't sure. Maybe that's just poor translation, but yeah, that's what they said. Third country.
Because there's two, and they're the third. They're the outcasts, right? Developing country. I mean, I don't know. I wonder how Mexicans feel in Mexico for all the people that are passing through their country, people that live in some of that. Like I've been to Bucerias and Sayulita and a lot of places. I was there for a while when I was younger, and it was a beautiful, beautiful place. And I really was not fully aware of all the craziness going on. I knew that like in Sayulita, they had guys, military with ARs sitting at the entrances to the small town there. But there was never, the crazy stuff you hear about, but there was this like always this mystery that it was right there. But as far as like for the people that live there, all of the hundreds of thousands, millions of people crossing through Mexico right now, what is it like down there? I mean, it must be just constant, almost like tourism, but just, not the best. Like people, they're like tourists, but probably don't have the money that a general tourist has because they're trying to get into a country with a backpack on their back. I just imagine it would be kind of nuts to see millions of people come through a country with the goal of never stopping, and kind of crazy. And then we have the congressman. Speaking of which, if we've talked about this before, there was a press conference that we covered. Essentially, one of these guys was saying, "Hey, if you serve in our military, that's good enough for us. Then, hey, you deserve a citizenship." And there is an act being put up, and they're trying to get this to get some momentum. The Courage to Serve Act. Now, many people have questioned and speculated that a lot of the stuff coming in is not actually to change the ballots, more so that they're going to be the ones that are going to be in our military. Now, somebody made a comment. Bible Talk 777, it just hit 9 months of member. Says citizenship for serving equals no problem offing the populace. Think about that. That's actually a crazy statement. So you're not from there. So say you want to get into this country, they say serve the military, then they say, hey, we want you to take out the people that are living here, and you can crazy scenario, you can live in their house if you take them out. Now I know that's really over the top, but think about it. If they did want them to do something civil or domestically, we always have this thought that, oh, well, our men and women in uniform won't do that to themselves. Like they won't, do this to their own country. Considering, by the way, the 18 to 25-year-olds that are serving right now are the TikTok generation. It's kind of scary to think about. But what if they were from somewhere else? What if they are from another country? That's literally what they are talking about here. They're saying that the Courage to Serve Act would essentially take migrants that are willing to serve in the military. They do their time, they get their green card. It's a really I've heard some people and even Fugel fan members say that, hey, if they're willing to put the 4 years into the military, hey, that's more than most people would do. I've heard, people saying, hey, they want to serve in the military. Okay, cool. You go do that. You can get a citizenship. Many countries, that's kind of like the idea of like you served your country. But others look at this and they go, what the hell? Why would they do this? Like, what is going on that they are offering this? We're having all of these shortfalls, and those shortfalls are due to social media, are due to prying from other countries. And now they're saying, hey, maybe we'll grab soldiers from other countries. Think about that. Somebody walks across the fence, joins the military. They are straight up a foreigner in our military. We just covered yesterday, they just put in a Hong Kong citizen, a Hong Kong foreigner who's not a citizen of this country. I believe, and I don't even think they have dual citizenship. And they put her in a position to run the ballot day in California on one of the commissions. And this was a huge deal. The FEC has rules against it, all of this. So why is there this broad change? Navy is now getting rid of the requirement for any high school diploma or GED. Why is this happening? Is it to set up for the framework for this? Think about it. If you're not from here, you're not going to have a high school or a GED. And it might be actually really hard, even a GED, which again is kind of like, if you don't get your high school diploma, a GED is realistic and a lot of people can do it. If you've grown up here, it's actually not too hard. You do some studying for the math and you got it. But if you don't even speak the language here, it would be actually really hard to even get that. Well, they're getting rid of that. For the Navy, you don't even need a GED to join the Navy now. What the heck is this? Dex, when you saw this, like, I guess, what is the general consensus on this? What do you guys think about this?
It's a conundrum on one hand, because you've got all sorts of reasons why you don't necessarily want it. But then when you turn around and you ask the population, hey, do you want to get drafted or would you rather do this? You want to send your sons and daughters or would you rather do this? And I think it's an easy win for them. If I don't know if this will actually happen, but it seems like it's an easy thing to negotiate with the population on, even though I think at the end of the day, we all think it's wrong and we don't necessarily want this to happen. I could be wrong. I don't really know what the sentiment is of this. To me, it's a conundrum. And I don't like it. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of reasons not to do it. And I think the biggest thing is we shouldn't even be in a position where we need to worry about staffing our military. They should be staffed because we have a great, population that wants to, and I'm not even saying it's the population's fault. It's more on the military's fault and the government's fault for not creating an environment in which everyone's proud to serve and wants to serve. And we're not wasting our time in useless conflicts and wasting, our lives, so to speak, and literally on, conflicts that don't really bear any fruit for the population or do anything for us.
Yeah.
As the citizenry.
How many? So there's a lot of us that are proud of the men and women that serve. We are proud and we salute every soldier here. But I will ask this. How many of you, we go to a war with Iran right now, and just say, hypothetically, there's a scenario where 99% of citizens know that it was because of something we did and it was a dumb action that the U.S. did or one of our allies, and then we're in a war. Would you want to go join up if you're super proud of the country, super proud of the service? Would you join to go fight a war that you really didn't approve of at all? That's the other conundrum with this. It's because like it's people are torn right now. They support our men and women in uniform. They love our country, but then they look at the war being fought. What I hear a lot of is people saying, "Oh, I'm not going to fight some bankers war." You hear both sides. You see, and then there's the others that don't. And then there's the youth that absolutely will not. But a lot of that is because they've been fed, Ganda since they were kids, saying that the US is horrible, that we're the worst. There are good
Well,
things, and fighting for our freedom is a good thing, but fighting for our freedom against whom is kind of a huge question here. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and how good is or how productive is a military made up of people that don't want to be there versus those that want to be there and want to thrive to be there, right? When you have the desire to be part of that mission, I think your success is much greater than when your arm is twisted or even forced through like the draft to be there. You're probably not, you're just looking out for yourself. Like, what does it take to get me through these next, so many years I have to do this and get out, as opposed to being successful.
Yeah, like how many of them would have the goal to actually stay in and serve as a full career, to be in it, to really make a huge change over the years. One other thing that we have done research on, we actually didn't go all the way through with this, but I don't know. I think it's kind of a timeless thing. So we've kind of kept it to a minimum just because we see a lot of people, kind of snatch ideas and things, but it is really crazy to see what is going on with our military. I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of change in our military right now, and it is verifiable documentation of changes that have no explanation other than these people might support a certain person or this or that, or their views don't line up. They're not, correct enough. That's a really freaky thing. And you think about, why are they doing that? Why are they, taking anybody out that might have the inkling of support for, say, said previous prez? It's freaking weird. It's not. I don't think it's actually weird. No, that's the wrong word to say. It's disturbing. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And then let's see here. Over on D Live, thank you guys. Thank you, Gem. Hey, it's nice to see all of you over there. Gem, one of our most talented artists over on D Live. Mutant Fat Cat, CJ7, End is Near. We have, of course, DFW Jackie. Thank you. DFW says Texas tea. Everybody wants some. Everybody's talking about Texas right now. Shoot, Elon Musk might bring everything there. Let's see here. Gem, thanks for the support. One on B from all the D Live family, at Adam, at DexJ, and at the mods. Well, thank you. Queen BTP. And then again, Vicky K. Thank you for the Ninja Genie, Fractured Fusion, and Kimbria, wherever you are. That's probably one of the first shows I've seen not there. So Kimbria, thank you wherever you are. Hopefully you get to watch the replay. And a couple new folks in there. Honey Draskell, thank you for joining. Super Lady, Skies on High, thank you. Appreciate the support. Thank you for becoming a member. And then, of course, Reverend, thank you. Rooted, thank you. Says, who's more willing to just follow orders against other people from America, foreigners or Americans? Rooted, I think that was exactly the statement by Bottletuck 777. Trusted Source says, y'all are the best. Much love from South Carolina. Hey, thank you, Trusted Source, and thank you for being here 7 months now. That's awesome. And I know you've been here longer than that, but thank you. Michelle Ratcliffe, thank you for subscribing. And Carl K, thank you for subscribing as well. A bunch of new people. Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate that. All right. And then let's see here. Dex, let's let's go over the Pentagon, and there's a sign that something is happening here.
Exactly. So look, they're claiming it to be a desperate move. They're trying to address the need for solid fuel rocket engines, and they're willing to now give a contract to a relatively untested and privately held startup company called Ursa Major. Now, that may be interesting in by itself, but I think what's really much more important is while they continue to say rocket motors themselves are relatively inexpensive, they play a vital role propelling billions of dollars in missiles, especially in the war efforts in UKR and Israel. But it is to restock our dwindling U.S. inventory. So this is the key point, in my opinion, here is that our inventories are so low and we cannot manufacture and get things from our traditional defense industry. We're now having to reach out to startup companies to try to get them to build solid fuel rocket engines for us. And they're willing, the rumors are that this contract is expected to be small and fall under the Pentagon's development program, but it's a sign that they're trying to solve what they call, quote unquote, a major crisis, growing appetite to resolve this major crisis. So the fact that we have a major crisis going on in the sense that we don't have enough supplies for our military, specifically in something as, core as solid rocket fuel engines, which are used in just about all the different types of missiles we have. Maybe not the same engine for each one, but they all have engines. They're all solid fuel rocket engines. So yeah, big issue there. I think less concerned about the small startup. I mean, the CEO is a former SpaceX, and I think he also worked at what's the Blue Origin. So he's a rocket engineer.
Can we look
Little
up?
joke. I'm not a rocket scientist, but yeah, that's the founder of the small company. But they've only been in business since 2016.
Wait, say the founder again. Who did you say the founder was?
His name is Joe Laurienti. He is former. They were founded in 2015 as a former SpaceX and Blue Origin propulsion engineer, or a rocket scientist.
I just noticed another quote there was, as soon as I get the fiscal year 24 budget, I'm going to drop it on a small company that is going to do additive manufacturing of a solid rocket motor. Now we're also on dwindling, it's set up above, right? Dwindling U.S. inventories. So we're low. So they're saying that they're going with this no name company, this small company. They're dropping money on it because they're like, hey, they'll do the job if these guys can't. Who said this was Heidi Shu. I just looked up the origin of that name. It's I'm just thinking, like, what if you had people in certain places that would say, hey, no, we need to go give it to this company, and then that company has some sort of back door in it or something, and it screws over whatever they're manufacturing, or there's some sort of issue or some sort of backdoor into that missile, right? That would be kind of an oversight, right? If somebody missed that or it fell through the cracks. I guess I would think it would be as simple as checking every single person that's in charge of these kind of decisions and make sure they don't have ties to certain countries. Just saying.
Did you know Heidi Shu is in addition to being the Undersecretary of Research and Engineering, she's 70 years old and originated from Taipei, Taiwan.
Oh, okay. So it's a Chinese name, but she's from
been
Taiwan.
Around for a long time.
Well, that's good to know. I guess as far as questioning everything, we don't see that anymore. We see a lot of, with all of the F-22 and F-16 parts and all of the craziness that went down with that. It was like we covered that one story. Do you remember when they sent a part from jets to be repaired? It was a top secret thing or whatever. They ended up sending it to a place to get fixed. The place that manufactured it goes, oh, well, this part we manufacture over here. They sent the part to China to get fixed. And then the people that sent it away originally to the company in America got it back with the return address or from address from China. They're like, wait. Why was our part in China? Like, what? Do you remember that, Dex? It was like, the stuff like
Yeah,
that was
it was like the, I don't know if it was the glass, there was some component in it, some lens part of it or something that was a sub manufacturer in China, and they had to
yeah.
send it back over there, and they're like, and it just totally, came back from China. It's like who would have thought that the product or the component, I should say,
Well,
would end up over in our adversaries' hands.
so say if they make a simple part like a bolt or something, okay, whatever, there's no chance that there's some, but they end up sending the whole item, which the whole item has all of the rest of the technology there. They send all of that and go, hey, can you put a new lens in this? But the rest of that item should have never crossed into that border. That's the kind of stupidity that has been happening. And we've covered it time and time again. There was multiple groundings of our jets, like how the ejection seats, like all of these weirdo things happening. It's pretty stupid. Now, speaking of which, if you want to be smart about having backup power, everyone is now suggesting solar again, because if we do lose power, either whether it be an EMP or as far as a CME from the sun, something like this, especially if it's protected, will have unlimited power. A solar generator gets its power from either you can charge it like a battery bank from your wall, or you can charge it from solar panels. If you've never dealt with solar energy before, it's extremely easy, or at least these guys are. You get some of their folding panels, you put them out, you lift up the little legs on them, you put them in your yard, and you plug one cord into the machine, and it starts bringing in power on every single day. If you want multiple panels, you just daisy chain them. The unit itself, they are made. They are some of the best made solar generators on the market. If you've looked into this market, you go, oh, well, there's this other company, and oh, they do all the same stuff. They very well may be, in the same way that, yeah, you can get yourself, I don't know, say a wrench from, Home Depot, or you can get it from Harbor Freight. You know the manufacturing difference, right? You can also get that other one that does all the same stuff, and you go, oh, well, this is a few bucks cheaper. But then it doesn't work on the second try or the third try. It has some sort of weird development error code or something. This company is directly working with not only the Air Force, but with the Army. This just won the STTR Phase 2 contract. This was designed, the new tactical was half designed by Energy and half designed by the Air Force Research Laboratory. This is silent. Nobody is going to hear it from blocks away. It is expandable. It is modular, meaning you, just like Lego bricks, you can put bricks in that will either change it or expand it or both. So you can add a brick in that turns it into a supercharged solar. It can take 3 times the amount of panels, or you can charge it 5 times as fast. Like, it's crazy. This thing is awesome. It is manufactured like they used to manufacture these devices. Again, if you get a toaster from the 60s, it still works. That's because they used to make things that way. That's how this is made. As far as the companies, they go, oh, well, if we make a toaster that's going to last 70 years, nobody's ever going to buy another toaster. So they started making them crappier and crappier and crappier. This is the opposite. It has the best components, the best lithium, best everything involved. That way you know you're going to get a solid product. That's the thing. If you're going to be investing in a system like this, it's not cheap. If you're going to get the right one, I would highly recommend, and the reason I say this is there's a weight involved. Right now, they're doing the STTR contract for the Army. There is the world fighting over lithium right now. So it's definitely something you would have wanted to get last year, let alone yesterday rather than tomorrow. Lithium is going to go up. But again, this is a technology that's going to come in clutch. Anytime you lose your power, you, of course, have a storm, a hurricane, an earthquake. Having power is a huge deal. But besides that, as far as mine, I use it for everything. I use it for powering my tools. I can bring it anywhere. I can bring it over to my friends. I help make a fence. I could do pretty much anything. Grab my power tools. I could either charge them or power them straight off of it. I took it camping. I could power a projector and put up a projector screen out in the woods and watch a movie. It was really, really cool. So again, this I've used so many other purposes other than losing my power. But it also prevented us from having to go to a family house when we lost power for 3 days. There's a lot of instances where having power is absolutely amazing. You probably already know this because most of you probably have a battery bank for your cell phone. If your cell phone dies, you can plug it in on the go. This is like a giant version of that that also can be modded, can be expanded, and is quiet. So nobody knows you have it. You can have it inside, and you don't have to store flammable gases. And again, you don't have to be a mechanic if it breaks. Marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. Make sure to use the code Marfoogle. Again, the Army, all they care about is if something is going to turn on and turn on every time they want it to turn on. Others can't really say that. Again, marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY. And if you look at some of the competitors, just this is my personal advice. This is what I did when I was looking for, as far as generators that were going to work as an affiliate, because everybody was asking, like, what do you recommend? I went through 7 or 8. Almost all of them had a front company that directly tied back to a certain country, which I don't agree with supporting. So again, make sure to go check that out. You may not have to wait. You'll get it on Monday, but you'll also be supporting a 3-letter country government. So it's up to you. You could always get yourself a good gas power, dual fuel gas generator in the meantime. But I highly recommend understanding what's going to happen if the power goes out. So will the gas stations. All right, and then Kremlin, Russia issues arrest warrant for Alex Navalny's brother after the critics' unexplained perishing. So when you see this, it does, like, everybody's been debating, and I've seen a lot of people say, oh, this was the CIA, this was the US. But then something like this happens where they want to go to get him. But it also could still be that way. Maybe they're trying to get him to question him about, what the heck happened here, or is the guy actually perished? Did they do something like what happened with a certain gentleman in New York here? Sure sounds very similar. In fact, they had, what do you call it? The cameras were wiped for the 3 days beforehand. And they said that the FSB went in beforehand. Within a couple days of when this all went down. Dex, the whole thing, it's like a Lifetime movie drama. That's what it seems like anyways.
It certainly does. And look, the brother has had his own run-ins in the past. He was sentenced over 3 years ago in a prison in 2014, and served the time or did whatever, and he was released in 2018. And I think there's been some other incidences with him, but there was nothing current at the moment. But it just came out. It broke from Russian media. The Russian Interior Ministry said today or yesterday that he was now wanted under an article of the criminal code. So we don't know what it is. We haven't given us any new information on it. We'll keep an eye out, see if they even come up with anything. Who knows? Maybe it's legit. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's, I don't know. It's kind of frustrating when you see the different things, because you also have to take it with the lens of, how the Western media is spinning it. But this is coming from Russian state media. So, yeah.
So they're definitely trying to go grab the brother. It's like the guy perished, and now they're trying to grab the brother. Are they going to question him, or is it because they did it and they're trying to tie up loose ends? What is the real story behind Navalny? What crazy weird connections does he possibly have? When you're looking at people that are possibly close to running a country, they probably have some shady connections, right? This guy was going to go up against Putin. He's one of his biggest critics. He has a huge following. It doesn't matter. There is no, there's always some sort of connection to the rich and elites up at that level. Oligarchs. And then Russia, American ballerina Kasina Karolina is detained for high treason in Russia. At first, when I saw this, I was like, so what the heck? So she's an American citizen. She's dual citizenship. She was here, but apparently she went back to visit. Well, she didn't. And this is the creepy part. I think the thing we pull out of this is she's being accused. She raised $51 for the Ukrainian army. $51. She donated it to the thing. They're saying that that's high treason, right? How did they know she did that? She did it when she was in the States. Was it just simple social media? And do they check on every dual citizen? Like, she comes in, did they pull up her social media? How did they actually figure this out? Or did one of her friends or family members see it and report her, and then there was a flag somewhere? Or did they have like a CIA type thing that is watching every one of their dual citizens? We know China does. China straight up has police stations to enforce what they're doing. If there's a Chinese citizen here doing something, China will send somebody out. Like, that's at least what's speculated. With this, is it the same way? If an American is talking about American secrets or something over in Russia, I guarantee a CIA agent's going to be on a bicycle somewhere near him and behind in every photo. With this, it's like, what the heck happened here? She is a LA resident who became a U.S. citizen in 2021. Her social media pages are littered with photos of her smiling, loving life in the U.S. Last summer, she married her husband, a so far unidentified American, which is good for him. Gosh, this is a mess. In January, she was arrested on the same day that Putin sat down for a widely panned interview with Tucker. The apprehension took place outside of a movie theater in Yekaterinburg. The initial charges related to swearing offenses. Yekaterinburg, the largest city in the Ural region, is also where Wall Street Journal journalist Evan Gershkovich was arrested on spying charges nearly 12 months ago. A subsequent investigation saw Karolina accused of fundraising for a Ukrainian military cause. She is specifically accused of transferring $51.80 from an American bank to an account in Ukrainian charity Razan. That's kind of nuts, right? How they found out about it, I mean, it's a social media. She could have done the fundraiser there, and then they could have confirmed it somehow. But other than that, most people are saying that's pretty extreme for $50. But I guess they're about their principles, right? Dex, did you have a comment on Karolina?
Yeah, it's crazy. Maybe they don't have the right to remain silent, or maybe, she thought, well, if I just explain it, or if they found it and they asked her questions about it and she admitted to it. I don't know. Because it says the original charges, later it said the original charges were petty hooliganism for swearing. But then those charges were upgraded to high treason. So, she's a ballerina. She performs. Maybe she was performing over there. Maybe she was visiting family. We don't know the circumstances. They say it was a movie theater, so it wasn't maybe a theater she was performing at. If the information that they're reporting is correct, but
so if you swear at somebody, they can arrest you in Russia.
It sounds like it. Public hooliganism.
That, jeez,
there'd be a lot of people in jail around here, huh?
Oh, New York would be a ghost town, and that's just like, that's just at the nunnery. California, first human Neuralink brain chip recipient controls computer mouse by thinking. At least that is what Musk is saying, right? I mean, it leaves a lot of people speechless when they found out about this, and this was real, and it wasn't something that was down the road, and that this actually happened. I remember 5 years ago talking about the idea of this, and I remember a specific kind of messaging in the chat. Everybody agreed. They were like, this will never get to human trials. There's too much bureaucratic red tape. Nobody is ever going to agree to this. There's going to be something that holds this back. Where are we right now where this is literally happening right now? I mean, is that not crazy? We're in a time right now where this is happening. I think it's pretty crazy. We have somebody with a brain chip that can read their thoughts right now. It's so crazy that I'm sure that there's going to be a group of people that say, "Oh, this isn't even real." It leaves people speechless. People cannot believe we are at this point in sci-fi, current tech, that this is happening. They also put out an ad, by the way, that you can find this over on my Twitter at Marfoogle. There is an ad essentially saying, not only did it go successfully, it was great, it went very smooth. They're asking, it's called Prime, not Prime Directive, that's like Terminator, but it's something prime.org or something like this. And
Precise Robotic Implanted Brain Computer Interface, Prime.
Oh my gosh, it is Prime. Not to be confused with the dumb sports drink that all the kids want. Um, but again, with this, they're calling for people with quadriplegia to come forward and to apply. And they say, if you qualify, we'll put one in your head. They show, they believe that at some point you'll be able to type so fast that you'll be able to go faster than the fastest stenographer in the world. That you'll just be able to think, you'll be able to spell it out in your head. And even faster, you think of the word, it will start spelling it out. You won't even have to do FIRST first. It will be, and it will just put out as you think it. I can only imagine like what accidental thoughts will lead to putting it on paper. Think about if you wrote a paper or an essay like this and you didn't proofread it and some random thought about, some jerk on the bus or something came into it. I would think that you have to proofread almost everything you write, but this is insanity. It's so crazy. Most people are just like, is this even real? Dex, imagine being able to look at electronic. I mean, how do they hook up with the electronics? Are they Bluetooth compatible? Is this guy Bluetooth compatible now?
So that's one of the interesting things, because the BCI or brain computer interfaces have been around. They've not had as complex as this one, but this is a wireless one. I mean, that's the whole point, is it gets implanted underneath the skull or into the brain, and everything's closed up and it transmits wirelessly, which is much better than, or presumably better than, the other platforms, because the other systems, were wired in, and you had potential infections, et cetera. And I think there's another company that did one just recently last year that got approval for testing, but it goes in through like a blood vein or something. And this one attaches in a much more direct way, in a way that would actually get to the ability to, as Elon likes to say, download your brain eventually. We don't know that. We haven't seen that, but I'm imagining that, he's bragging about it. So they probably have got some ideas on how they're going to be able to pull this off.
Now, I tweeted earlier. I always, if you haven't noticed, I usually tweet at 7 or 8 in the morning. Most of my tweets come out then, but I saw all of this crazy stuff going on, and saw that video and others, and I said, you wonder, all these videos are being put out about Apple Vision Pro, and it is crazy. One of the videos I posted is a gentleman who has been breaking down algorithms. He's a very smart guy, but he broke down the open source Twitter algorithm, and he has all sorts of crazy things that he found. But he also has posted just nonstop videos of him using his Apple Pro Vision. And he's got like 10 screens, and you see what he sees. And he's in his house, and basically you see these floating screens all around. Well, he posted this one video that really is something that's kind of a sleeper story, because he's vacuuming, and you see his vacuum, and you see all these little coins. Think like Sonic the Hedgehog or Super Mario. Coins cover the ground. And as he's vacuuming, it shows where he's vacuumed, and he collects all of the coins. And it turns it into a game. He gets points for every vacuum sweep that he takes. Not only that, the coins disappear where he has vacuumed. So he stated, in the future, video games or even chores will be gamized, right? Or gamified, right? Where even cleaning your house, if you wipe a counter, it will show coins. So you're cleaning up the coins, right? You never miss a spot because it knows where you've done it. And it knows where it is. It looks like the coins are on his floor and he's vacuuming them up. Well, I said, why? If Elon is so on top of this and he's so at the cutting edge, why is he not making these AR or VR goggles? He's going beyond that. This is going to be applied to video games. This is going to be applied to every electronic in the world. Think about your computer and how we have these phones. You won't have to do that. They're already working on these interfaces for contacts. They've done it for years. But think about, you put some contacts in or wear some simple glasses. All of the computing and stuff is in your head, or even having the images put on your vision. That's all put inside your head. They're talking about stuff from the Matrix where you would in the future possibly be able to download information and know it. So you want to learn karate? Well, pay $55 and you'll be able to download a PDF that goes directly into your brain and you'll remember every move. That kind of thing was so ahead of its time in Matrix, if you think about what they're actually saying here. And you would also be able to save your brain. They're not talking about saving your game like, oh, I hit a continue point. They're talking about saving your brain, your memories, everything, and then being able to transfer that either to a robot or to another person. That's where I think if there's black market versions of this, it will be a lot like that movie that showed essentially people sell their time, their years. They take youth from the youth, give it to the old get younger, and the young get older. And it could be used as a black market. They would grab people from other countries, kids, and take the youth out of them and give it to the old. In this case, you could see them say a rich elite wants to live 40 more years, finds a handsome young 20-year-old guy, and essentially they pop in their brain into their body. Like that could be a black market in the future. That's what they're talking about here. This is why people think we're in end times. Like, can you even imagine where we're going to be in 20 years from now? Like, if we are still alive for it, if the world is still here, then we are going to see absolute insanity. Elon is also saying he's going to get 1 million people to Mars by 2030. If he doesn't make that in 2030, we can come back here and go, yeah, we knew that was BS. But if he really does start pulling people from Earth and the people start disappearing, it'd be kind of freaky. And they'll all have a brain interface if they have, or if we travel to some Goldilocks thing 10 years away, they could be able to put you into some sort of program, have your brain chip activated or something, and be able to do 10 years in a spaceship, no problem, because you'll be in some virtual world thinking that you're just normal. Have cords and things stimulating your muscles to keep you alive. They're talking about all of this right now. And then North Korea, Putin gifts a new car to North Korea's luxury limo-loving leader Kim. So this is kind of show they're besties, right? They're doing thumbsies together and they're taking selfies and hanging out and even giving each other cars. Putin gifted a really pimped out Russian-made car for his personal use, North Korea's official Korean Central News Agency reported. It was conveyed to the group that included Kim Yo-jong, the powerful sister of the leader, and there were no further details on how the car was handed over. She offered her thanks and said the gift serves as a clear demonstration of the special personal relations between the top leaders. Dex, you know what I thought of? Is they were bringing over containers over to North Korea. Who knows what else was in them? They were big enough to say, oh no, we were just giving them a car. Or we were giving them several cars. They could be missiles, they could be gear, and this could have been just like a throw-in thing like, oh yeah, say we gave you a car. Well, we'll need a car. Okay. We put a car in there too.
Yep, exactly. It certainly could be. Although at this point, it doesn't seem like they're hiding the fact that they are just shipping stuff back and forth to each other. We've seen all the suspected armament shipments, and then later we see the armaments being used and arms being used in the battlefield with Russia and UKR. So they're not really trying to hide anything at the moment.
And I wonder if they could hide a nuke, though. Well, they have nukes. So, yeah, what would be the point? And then Dex, this is so crazy. JB, our current prez, who did he have a connection to? Dex, kind of crazy to think about this.
Yeah, so they've come out and found some sort of strange connection between him and Abraham Lincoln. And apparently Abraham Lincoln pardoned his ancestor. That's the connection. So going back, and I don't know if this is for publicity or just coincidental that it happened. They found these documents that date back, and it basically says that the current president's great-great-grandfather was involved in a skirmish and basically stabbed somebody, and was later, after being imprisoned for it, was later pardoned by Lincoln. And that was our current president's great great grandfather.
So if you're somebody who doesn't think that these families run deep and for hundreds of years have been in charge or in some sort of power, just look at that. Do you think that's a coincidence? I knew a friend, their family is still super rich. Haven't talked to him since high school, but his family was related to Ulysses S. Grant. And one of my friends, he was named after Grant, right? Their family was filthy rich, super successful, and it was almost like every successful business venture that they had was handed to them. They did a great job running these things, but it was like they had stuff passed down for years and years and years. Half their family went into weird different politics, this and that. Uh, One of my friends was not the best. He didn't pay attention too much in school, so he didn't end up, being one of these guys that went to Yale or whatever. But half his family did, and it's like you look at these families, and it's like there's been families that have been in charge and in power for a very long time. It's pretty insane to actually think about how many of the current presidents and the presidents of our last 60 years have ties that go all the way back to the beginning of the country. When you see the ties and when you see the family trees, you're like, what the heck? It's like, you know, they all keep track of their own. That's why I say when something bad goes down, these guys are all going to know what's happening. They're going to take care of their own. They're not going to worry about all of us. Viv B, I would hack Brain Chip Guy and put Rick Astley on a loop. Never going to give you up. Rick rolled to death. Viv B says, joking. Yeah, that would be horrible. Imagine hacking and Rick rolling somebody. Uncle Iro, I'd like to take the translators to the JB administration left in Afghanistan over untested illegal spies joining our military to destroy us within. Uncle Iro, there's a lot of I bet you there's going to be a lot more talk about this if this bill goes anywhere. If it actually if this something like this happens, I bet that's going to be another thing that people are going to be extremely divided over. It won't be good. And then thank you over on D Live. Thank you, One Up B. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support over there. Thank you, everybody. Beer Juice, Scooby Doo Do Right, Mutant Fat Cat. We've got Kimbria in the house. Nice to see you. You popped in. DFW Jackie, One Up B. Again, thank you for going back and forth. And then Gem, thank you for supporting, and thank you for keeping it alive over there, along with Chance Paladin. You guys haven't checked it out. Chance actually has books over on Amazon. And Gem also has a link tree over on marfooglenews.com/friends. And before we move on, so we've shown you others as far as we have actual several recommendations depending on what kind of will be best for you. If you haven't seen Nutrient Survival, I got turned on to this by Alaska Prepper. He actually told me about these guys, and it was really the point of this is really high quality food. It is special ops grade. It has 6 times the nutrients as the usual freeze-dried food. It is not like a survive food. This is like a thrive food. It also tastes extremely good. Again, there's different price ranges. We have different recommendations for, say, the most affordable, the most high efficiency, the smallest storage wise. This is definitely for the highest nutrition value. If you want to be able to survive and thrive, to be able to have energy in a SHTF situation, you definitely want to go for this. Otherwise, if you like good food, if you're a foodie, then you definitely want to look at some of the best freeze-dried on the market. Go to marfoogle.com/NS. They also have just extremely good packaging as far as all of the how they put their product together is done extremely well. It's very well organized. It's all color coded. It's really incredible. So go over to marfugglenews.com/NS, and right now you can save 15% with the code MARF. It helps support us. And again, we are on our own. We don't have a multi-channel network, and we don't have a multi-billion-dollar company behind us. We have you guys. So thank you. And we appreciate it. More so, though, than anything, share us out with somebody that doesn't know about us. That would be more appreciated than anything. All right, and over to the UK and Japan have slumped into a recession while the US keeps defying gloomy expectations. I don't know about that with our national debt going, 35 trillion almost. But now the UK and Japan are in the same seat. Seems like anything that touches, touches the US goes to crap here now. Dex, do you want to talk about the recession?
Certainly, they're looking at the last quarters of 2023, and so both Japan and the UK said their economies likely weakened during the final 3 months of 2023. So for each, it would be the second straight quarter that's happened, which fits one person's definition of a recession. So that may be considered that. Now the contrast is like when you look at the United States, the economy did really well in the last year's fourth quarter for a sixth straight quarter of growth. So that's sort of the comparison. Now, I know a lot of people will say looking at countries like Japan and even the UK and the rest of Europe for that matter, and look at it as a signal. Like if you see something happening there, it'll eventually trickle into the US. We're always last because we are so strong. So we have to watch this. I mean, pay attention. It could just be the way the numbers rolled for that last year and the fact that it's taking them longer to recover. Or it could be a sign that even though we've been looking strong for the last few quarters, we may have a bad road ahead of us. But right now, everything's still looking rosy. At least they're propping it up one way to be that way. Certainly our debt doesn't look rosy, but that's just ridiculous.
And Elon Musk is being nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for being stout proponent of free speech. People are torn about whether it's free speech or this or that. I believe as far as here's one thing I do know is I've even seen stuff that I'm like, gosh, I don't even there's some pretty stupid stuff on X now. But I'd rather see stupid stuff and be the judge of it myself than have somebody else censor it. I actually do agree in some ways that some of the stuff that's being put out, I see more and more people kind of see it and believe it. There's dumb people out there that believe dumb stuff. But I'd rather have it a million times that way than have them censoring and somebody else that nobody put in power deciding what and where things should be banned, what things should not be heard by others. So I agree. X has actually changed. Like I've seen a lot of stuff that I never would have seen on the old X. So, and especially I've seen just this huge plethora of stuff that normally would have not been recommended, would have been shadow banned, and I've seen it. And looking at, how they broke down the current algorithm, they made it open source, which I thought was huge. They say that they may change it. I kind of understand why I'm part of it. Now everybody, since they know what to do, everybody's been posting videos as the responses to videos. Like you go to a video, you want to see what happened and, did the person perish? Did the building burn down? Usually there's responses that make sense for that post right down below that say the man died after 4 days or something. Now it's just a video of a cat playing a piano that somebody posted there because it's a popular tweet. It's pretty annoying, actually. So I could see why they're going to change it again. Hopefully they fix that because now even it's a running joke. It's like, remember when the responses to the tweets used to be responses to the tweets? Now it's just random videos. Although it is becoming a media platform, now you can swipe through their videos and endlessly find new videos, just like on TikTok or on YouTube Shorts. It's actually coming up really fast. As far as free speech, I've seen stuff I've never, ever seen on that platform before. So I think that, in that right, I can at least see what they're talking about. As far as nominated for a Peace Prize, he hasn't won it. Do you think Elon should get the free speech Nobel Prize? Let me know in the comments down below, or let me know in the chat. Do you like what Elon is doing? Are you a fan, or do you dislike Elon? Let me know in the chat below. If you dislike him, give a reasonable reason why. Dex, go ahead.
No, I'm good. I think, it's interesting to see this coming out of Norwegian member of parliament who put this up, but I doubt he'll win. There's too much, too many people against him. Yeah.
Well, didn't Trump actually win one? He won the Nobel Peace Prize, didn't he?
I thought he was nominated. I didn't think he won.
I'll have to look. Yeah, it's a big difference. Yeah, even being nominated is a big deal, but to win a Peace Prize is a huge deal. All right, and then let's see here. Viv B, say thank you tonight. Believe you are the top supporter, so thank you. I appreciate your support tonight. Thank you, and thank you. Over on D Live, I believe Vicky, is our top supporter. So Vicky and Viv B, thank you so much. The V's of Viviness, thank you. Dex, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Much love. Great job, brother.
If you want to join us for the shoutro, it's not an outro, it's not a shout out, it's a shoutro. Then join us over on Jams. You can stay right in the chat. Stay where you're at if you want to join us.